day at Ireland West Airport, Knock. A good day.
To mark its 30th anniversary, painters are giving the airport a makeover.
It's a tight deadline, and I love doing these type of jobs. This is a prestigious job. You know, you tell people you have this job and they're like, God, it's great. To think that there's an airport here. You know, it's amazing. It's kind of going around in my head, and I was even thinking about tomorrow when I passed the statue of the Monsignor. When he came up with the idea to put an airport in the middle of a bog, people must have thought he was absolutely crazy. To see it now, I think it's phenomenal. Just gives us a lesson. Don't laugh at some of these ideas.
John joined his father Tom in the family business 17 years ago.
It's great. I don't think we ever had a row.
No.
Never.
We get on great now. Definitely do. 100%, no problem. We have a bit of crack, yeah, sure. He's a good painter, yeah. It's very hard to get good men, you know, good qualified painters. Yeah, sure, it's fantastic. Fantastic.
You see, I had to record that. I'd have that forever. An Irish father will never tell you how he feels.
Oh.
Listen, she's for Liverpool. She's a bit late, but they know. He may have had to go a fair distance to park the car. Don't be worrying. You're grand.
Oh, thanks.
We have a lady who was a little bit late, getting a bit upset about the flight, but her husband is down the bottom of the car park, and he's a little bit late for the flight, so we're trying to kind of get him through. Is this him, the tall fella?
Yeah. Hi, how are you? Sit in there. How was your name? Sit in.
Sit down.
Sit down there and I get you security.
I'll go. I'll meet you at the other side.
The car wouldn't start. Everything went wrong, nothing went right. We're here.
I think we'd get on, you know.
It's gone, thank goodness. It's got the flight.
We're off up to the airport. Trip again, our weekly visit to Knock Airport for another week in London or Maidstone in Kent. But yeah, it's the usual thing now, Sunday evening, early dinner, and off up to the airport. See you later, Princess. I love you. I love you. Take it easy.
Carpenter Anthony Conway is from Charlestown, and along with many others from the west of Ireland, he makes a weekly trip to London for work.
It's just a matter of fact, it's something we have to do.
Flying into Stansted, Sligo woman Mary Nielsen also commutes from Knock.
I do non-surgical anti-aging treatments for my ladies in the Bromley area. So I was living in London for about 15 years and I always wanted to go back to Ireland. The opportunity arose 5 years ago, so we made the move in 2011. But I've only been able to make it work because I've been able to keep coming over and back. When I get to Knock Airport, you notice that it's mostly men, and I see the same guys when I'm travelling, but I don't see many women that I notice like me on a regular basis.
We're here in Bishop's Terrace, Maidstone, and we're here the last, you can say, year and a half now. And this is going to last another 6 months.
Anthony recalls the moment of truth when he knew he would have to leave Mayo in order to earn a living.
It was just a simple thing, shopping one day. Young fella wanted a certain pair of jeans, and I put my hand in my pocket, whereas always you'd have money in your pocket, and the money wasn't there. I said, well, son, I said, this is the last time that'll ever happen. He knew nothing about it, my wife knew nothing about it, no one knew anything about it. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. Without the airport, me and, I'd say there's hundreds like me. It wouldn't be possible to be where we are and bringing home what we're bringing home, you know. So thank God, look at, he's got his jeans now and a few more pairs, so that's a good thing.
Head of Technical Services at the airport is Jim Corrie. He has worked here for 30 years and lives in an old schoolhouse just 2 miles across the bog.
Schoolhouse is here since 1887. It was here a long time before any airport, and hopefully they'll both go into the next millennium. Before those trees grew there, you could actually see the airport approach lights. Yeah, it was a handy way of keeping an eye on the place. Curious enough, it's kind of something that I would have dreamt about as a kid, having a house very near to an airport so that I could continuously and perpetually watch airplanes. I'm expecting the Ryanair should come over the house here. Very fortunate to be able to see your wages flying over the house as you're looking out your window.
Rugby is flying high in Connacht. The team are Edinburgh-bound to face some old rivals in the Pro 12 final.
Just rang one of the fellas up the airport just to double check it was all right, that I took over all their signage. It still hasn't really sank in. I know we're both flights booked, ridiculous accommodation paid for, but is it actually happening? Are we actually going like? Pro 12 final in Edinburgh against Leinster. Biggest game of not only the season for Connacht, it's ever for Connacht. Who's gonna win? Connacht! A few of them were on to me as I coming up to see the lads off, just to make sure they got in the plane.
Hey, how are you? Thank you very much.
So we have almost 70 kids from the local rugby school in Claremorris. It's all been a surprise. We brought them in the back door and Connacht are in departures, getting ready to come out now. So it's a great thing to offer them.
They're going on the plane to Edinburgh and we're here to cheer them on when they go.
Robbie Henshaw.
Tower, Papa 1-4.
Papa 1-4, Tower.
Papa 1-4 and Alpha, request proceed across to the glide path.
Papa 1-4, proceed, report ticket.
It's also an important day for Jim.
At the glide. We're expecting an aircraft based out of Shoreham Airport in the UK, and they come here as part of a contract twice a year. It's an aircraft full of precision instruments calibrated to record what our nav aids are doing in space. Basically, it verifies what we understand to be happening on the ground. Morning. How are you doing?
Ah, young man.
Andy, is it?
Yep.
How are you doing? How are things? So I suppose we'll go and set up the tracker.
Yeah.
They have a piece of tracking equipment. It enables them to know where they are in space from GPS detection. We always have to pass it. There is always a little bit of pressure, yeah, but it's something you become familiar with.
Okay, and this will be straight into profile 12, flight level 01. Understood.
You can see him on the extended center line there. He's obviously completed that particular profile, and he's gone back out to do the next profile. There's little enough wriggle room on this. If the facility doesn't meet the specification, you can't continue to operate with it. If they find something wrong, you just shut down the facility, you know. Okay. Okay. Excellent. Thank you, Chris.
Okay.
Great stuff. Everything is good. Everything is satisfactory. It's either satisfactory or unsatisfactory, but it's all good. Everything is just tickety-boo on the top of this mountain, this transcontinental holy mountain. Up she goes.
We've travelled over from Bristol in the southwest of England.
I'm father's housekeeper for 29 years.
Rini came to work in England to look after me for 1 month. And 29 years she's still doing it. And I placed an ad in the Lady magazine, and by the great divine providence, she bought that magazine and saw this ad and answered it.
The
I was
rest
very
is
fortunate.
history. I'm originally from County Kerry, Milltown, County Kerry. Now both of us in retirement,
We're
but I
both
do the
retired.
cooking, the cleaning still.
6-2, November, the surface wind 130 degrees, 08 knots, runway 27 clear to land.
John Crane and his team of painters have reached the high point of their project.
As you can see, the top of the tower, now that's a bit daunting. There's a lot of work to be done on that, but we love it anyways, sure, it's great. It's a bit of a challenge. You know, I was delighted to get this job. It's an impressive job to have on the CV, definitely. And of course now, we've just won the contract for the Basilica in Knock, just over the road here, the famous church. And we're delighted with that. And of course, the connection being Monsignor Horan. He must be looking down at us. He must want the same paint on the two jobs. We're going to be fierce famous in Mayo, lads. Honest to God, everyone is going to know us down here. I'm flying out here myself, actually, in a couple of weeks' time. The amount of people I've met here that are flying out on holidays, you could be having your coffee in the canteen and people want to talk to you. I don't know if it's a holiday thing. When people want to get on a plane, they just want to have a chat. It's a nice place to work and also it's nice to see too, you know? And you know, it must be the kid. Definitely the kid is brought out in you. You're compelled to turn around and look at a plane. A helicopter guy flew in and we just stopped the van and we're looking at him and he must think we're lunatics.
Today, it's not just planes on the runway.
Did you register? Come over to me, I'll help you here, so.
People are arriving from near and far for a 5K fun run, part of the 30th anniversary celebrations.
It's just going 4:30. The passengers are just loaded up on the Malaga flight now. Once that aircraft is gone and in the air, we'll set up the crowd barriers here on the main passenger apron.
The participants will be subject to all the aviation laws of a busy airport, and safety is paramount for Head of Security Piers Concannon.
We have to close the airfield now for the next 5 or 6 hours. For the exercise, for the event, it's going to be just an airside facility. And a lot of liaison with the Irish Aviation Authority, but everybody's been working very hard to make sure that this works.
It's a 5K race, so it has to be exactly 5K, so hopefully it's right. Our run is scheduled to start at 7, so we need to have everything done well in advance of that, so we'd look to have everything done by 6:30.
This is the place, if you ever come to Kilkelly now, this is where all the crack happens. You just sit here and everyone passes in or out at some point. On a nice fine day, you'll get plenty of people. And you'll get a free ice cream if you stick around long enough.
Sean Tarpey's shop is in the village of Kilkelly, 3 kilometres away.
I was living in London for about the last 10 years. I'm only back a few years now. But I used to fly over from Stansted and fly into Knock here. And I'd leave my bags there with the Knock lady, a little shop there, and just go down the back road there by the bogs and the lakes. It would take me about 10 Shannon songs to get me down there. But it was a lovely feeling, like you just come from London and all the rush and everything else, and the next thing you're just out in this lovely fresh air and the mountains and the lakes and everything else and the bogs, and lovely way to come home. So later on today, like, there's going to be this fantastic, I don't know who came up with this idea, it's a fantastic idea to have this walk on the runway itself. Because, you know, a lot of us, certainly my vintage anyway, remember being up there and doing the 3-point turns and what have you. Maybe sure I might bring the mother up now, she might do the 5K yet.
Yes, for sure.
Nearly 2,000 runners will take part, with the event making an important contribution to 3 local charities.
I have MS, it's just part of my life and I get on with it. I don't see myself as suffering from it. I've never gone on a bike on a runway, so I'm looking forward to having the crack and having a go on the handbike.
I've got strong legs and Geraldine's got the weaker legs. So if you cut us in half and put us together, we'd make one superhuman.
Yeah.
But crowd control is proving difficult. Connacht's epic battle with Leinster is on TV and nobody's in a hurry to leave the terminal. Later tonight, the Connacht team will fly into a heroes reception, hopefully as champions.
It's great to see Connacht leading 50-0. The downside is that I have to tell everybody, look, we're going to turn the TV off. Okay. I know everybody's enjoying the rugby match. I don't want to turn the TV off, but I have to turn the TV off. For the simple reason is Connacht are due back here tonight at 12:30. So you can appreciate the airport have an awful lot of work to do. So if you don't mind, my apologies. Thank you.
Meanwhile, back on the Nunway...
Come here, will you?
Don't bang into the person beside you. Put into his face. Come on.
Rosie is blind, and she's blind since birth. She's had a lot of surgeries. Rosie said she'd walk it. All right, miss.
Yeah.
Times have changed since 30 years ago when the runway was the #1 destination for learner drivers and boy racers.
Yeah, it's great to be up here again now. There was none of the markings on it and there was none of the lights or anything like that on it. So it was just kind of wild around here and you could just drive up. There's a gang of lads used to come up here on Saturday, the weekends or something like that in the evenings and just boot it down here and then do 3-point turns all around the place and everything else. It was thoroughly enjoyable.
79 minutes, Connacht scrum, 5 metres out, 20:10 with a minute to go.
Well, we're slowing down now, we shouldn't be. You know that?
It's the veil.
The veil, the
can't sweat.
The rest
It's
don't
sin.
worry.
More to the sin to be sweating, sister. Especially beside the man. None of that sweating now. I'll have you on the run all right.
Connacht won 2010. Connacht are the Pro 12 champion. And they're flying in here tonight at 12 o'clock, so you better all stay.
Come on, Finn Donnelly, I can see you coming at the finish line. Come on, there. Super running, Jane. 2.5. Well done. Comes all the way to the finish line. Well done.
From one big event to another, there is no time for rest. The new Pro 12 champions are due in on a very late flight.
Welcome. Great to see you and everybody. We're all very welcome. Welcome to Knock.
The runway is not open 24/7. Flights this late are only on special occasions.
Towers, Sierra 1, stop by Alpha, Bishop Sedan, runway inspection, Berlin.
Sierra 1, tower, proceed on, report to Kidder.
We're probably expecting maybe up on 1,000 people, I suppose, tonight to welcome the team back in. It's a great atmosphere down there. Boys will come in, appreciate the reception, it says, and head off home. So then everybody head off home safely.
Everything that we do is all about the people. From Sligo, Leitrim, Roscommon, Galway. Oh, I mean, it's unreal. I mean, we said that when we go to the final, we said no matter what, we want to fly out of the west of Ireland, we want to go out of Knock, and we want to make sure we come back. It's not the same arriving into Dublin or Shannon. We needed to ride back here, and we're so pleased we did. It's so lonely around the fields, right. This is all for the people of the West.
Are you only going to tie in bows on chairs?
No, I'd have to be sent away on a
Oh, for God's sake.
We're heading to the great celebrations, 30 years.
I'm on senior horn, and my great idea was to build an airport in Knock.